All right, so yesterday we discussed the importance of Jamestown. The thing that is to be remembered is Jamestown is the first successful English colony that was established in 1607. So let's go ahead and look at a few more facts. All right, so one of the first people that I would like to discuss is Captain John Smith. Captain John Smith was one of the leaders of Jamestown. He took control of the colony in 1608. Basically because Jamestown was failing, because people wouldn't work. He forced the settlers to work harder, and he created rules that basically gave the colonists incentives on working. His motto was, if you don't work, then you don't eat. That's something that you hear said to this day. So he forced the settlers to work harder and to build better housing, to create rules that rewarded harder workers with food. The colonists also received help from the powerful Powhatan Confederacy of Native Americans after Smith made an agreement with him. So if you look at it, he took care of two of the major issues that they had in Jamestown. They didn't have food and shelter, so he kind of forced people to work, and then also he squashed a lot of the beef or conflict with the Native American Powhatan tribe. Another guy that's semi-important is John Rolfe. John Rolfe is the guy that married Pocahontas, and his marriage also kind of like built a positive relationship between Native Americans as well as colonists. Now, eventually the Powhatan tribe and the colonists that lived in Jamestown would go to war. So in 1622, colonists, being aggressive, killed the Powhatan leader, which started a war between the colonists and the Powhatan tribe. These battles lasted for over 20 years. Eventually, the English crown ended up taking away the London's company charter because they saw that the London company couldn't protect the colonists and wasn't handling business at the colony properly. After that, Virginia became a royal colony under the authority of a governor chosen by the king. All right, so in the Jamestown is located in Virginia, what we call Virginia today. These people, farming and plantations were important. So you guys should know what farming is. A plantation is pretty much a house and a place that's built around farming. All right. So back then, tobacco was the most important cash crop. So they began to farm tobacco. Virginia also had a head rice system, and this system was used to help Europeans or Caucasians come from England. And so what the head rice system did was it incentivized people wanting to go to the New World by promising them 50 acres of land if they traveled to the Americas and lived on like the American colony. Once again, that head rice system was set towards promoting farming, set towards people living on plantations. Now, since it's all about farming in that area, labor is going to be important. So there were two systems that were very much alike. You had indentured servitude and you had slavery. So Europeans who came from Europe, who were white, who were of Caucasian descent, which means that they were white, they were not forced into slavery. They served as indentured servants. And so an indentured servant is someone who's like a slave, but this person is not in bondage for their entire life. That person has a debt, and that person is freed once their debt was paid off. So, for example, if you wanted to come to the New World, it may cost you $20. it may have taken up to 4 years for the average person to pay off that $20. So once your $20 was paid off, then you were no longer an indentured servant. Also, your children were not born in indentured servitude. So even if you had a child while owing a debt, your child would not be an indentured servant. Now, on the flip side, for Africans, people of African descent, most of them came from Africa. Some Africans actually came from Europe. Many came from places in the Caribbeans. So if you were African, you were forced into slavery. The slavery system was, and eventually would end up being a little different from the indentured servitude. Number one, you didn't owe a debt. You were used as a slave because pretty much you were African. You were forced to work on a slave plantation. If you had kids, your kids would also be born into slavery. And so what we find is there are subtle differences made between indentured servant and slavery, and a lot of that was based on race. Africans were chosen to serve as slaves because melanated skin makes it easier for you to work and survive the work outside whenever it's super hot. Also, Africans had already invented a cure for malaria. So we practiced inoculation in Africa, which means that you took some of the live disease, you poked your skin with the live disease, and your body would build up a natural defense. So many of the Africans had natural antibodies in their blood to basically cure malaria. And so therefore, because of that, they were used as slaves in the New World. The last thing that we're going to look at is the Bacon Rebellion. And just like its name, it's the Bacon Rebellion. So as plantations grew, and you guys know that plantations are big farms that people live on as well as work on, the economy of Jamestown improved. As the economy of Jamestown improved, the English officials began to raise taxes. Now, people do not like taxes because whenever you're taxed, that means that the government is taking your money. All right, so the colonists believed that the taxes were too high, and so this caused them to rebel. Also, the colonists were upset that Great Britain was not providing enough protection for them from different Native American raids. Also, the colonists wanted to take over many of the Native Americans' lands, but Great Britain wouldn't allow it because Great Britain didn't want to go to war with these Native Americans tribes. They were primarily there to try to make money. In 1676, a group of former indentured servants led by a guy named Nathaniel Bacon attacked some friendly Native Americans. Bacon started the rebellions in hope to take Native American lands. When the governor tried to stop him, Bacon and his followers attacked and burned down Jamestown. Eventually, the rebellion would be stopped. Well, it would end because Nathaniel Bacon got sick and died. And so that was the first rebellion that America had on the America soil.